Good evening to all of you, and happy Independence Day. We will start today. In my opinion, I talked about phases of this thing. So we are into the second phase. In the second phase, we have seen two chapters. First was functions in C, and second was pointers in C. I told you these are my own phases. Okay, what you can say, no steps. Phase is the right word. Today we are going to start the arrays in C. As we go on progressing our C curriculum, concepts would be harder to understand. At the same time, assignments will be harder to solve. Some of the assignments definitely will be easy. Intentionally, I am giving you to start arrays in C. What is the basic terminology? What we are going to learn in arrays in C? First of all, array is a secondary data type. Last chapter I told you, pointer is also a secondary data type. So what is the secondary data type? Derived from the primary data type. Right? Pointer is a pointer of integers. Okay, we call integer pointer, float pointer, character pointer, double pointer. Right? Similarly, there will be an array of integers, array of floats, array of doubles, array of characters. Likewise, so array is a secondary data type. We will see then uh, how compiler comes to know that we are going to deal along with array, we are going to create an array, we are going to access an array. So how compiler will come to know? That is very important, because when you write 3 into 5, how compiler comes to know that you are doing multiplication? Only because of that star operator, asterisk, right? Similarly, there must be some operator compiler comes to know. And I told you, when I talked about point operators in C language in the first chapter, I talked that C is very rich in operators, right? Dennis Ritchie used operators intelligently, available on the keyboard, and all languages followed that practice, almost all. So there is array notation. What is an index of an array? Very important, very important concept. What is array assignment, how I can assign elements to an array, what is initialization of an array. Okay, what now now pointer will come into this. Okay, again this chapter. So what kind of arithmetic operations are possible on pointers? What is one of the key point in this chapter is base address of an array. So what is the base address of an array? How an array can be passed to the function, and two-dimensional array, or what you can say multi-dimensional array. So these are no key topics, you can say. So let's go. So in num5, okay, this is basically declaration of an array, right? Declaration. Int x, what we call as a declaration. When you declare a variable, memory is allocated on the basis of data type. Here, that pair of square brackets is called array notations. Whenever you use these pair of square brackets, compiler will come to know that you are dealing along with an array. This is the only use of square brackets in C language. Okay, it doesn't have any other meaning, because curly braces have got different meanings. Okay, star operator has got different meaning. I mean, different what you can say, on the basis of context is behaves differently. Star operator behaves differently, right? Minus operator behaves differently. Even star operator has got that no multiplication as well as that indirection operator, right? Depending upon the context, references. Array, pair of square brackets, single meaning only. It indicates, it informs to the compiler that programmer wants to deal along with array. Right? Array is not a keyword. Array is not a keyword. Here, what you write inside a pair of square brackets is called size of an array. Okay, so it is a size of an array. Here, 20 bytes of memory will be allocated, okay, assuming, okay, considering an integer takes 4 bytes of memory. Okay, if there is a compiler, if there is a machine, okay. Now these machines and these operating systems, this architecture is not there, okay, currently. But those days in the past, there we used to be 32 bits computer, and architecture was there, kind of that, where integer was taking 2 bytes. So if integer is taking 2 bytes of memory, the this array will take 10 bytes of memory. If nowadays for integer 4 bytes of memory is allocated, so when you declare this array, 20 bytes of memory will be allocated, right? When I say always 20 bytes of memory is allocated, 4 bytes of memory is allocated, no, 2 bytes, these bytes of memory allocated. From where it is allocated, if you can recall, these are allocated from data segment. If you can recall everything in the first chapter, so data segment is there. I will show you this because maybe there a little bit of confusion. Here, num, okay, int num5 is a declaration. Num is the name of an array. Num is name of an array. What is the benefit of it? What all these things? Benefit is that if you want to store, suppose, hmm, if you want to store, I will give you earlier example. Suppose marks of 5 students, right? If you want to store marks of 5 students, you can recall that you need to declare 5 different variables like m1, m2, m3, m4, m5. Okay? Or if you want to store marks of 5 subjects for single student, then you need to declare that subject 1, subject 2, subject 3, kind of thing. Right? You need to declare 5 different variables. But there is a limitation. First of all, what if you want to store marks of uh, C programming language for whole class, fixed class of 60? Will programmer declare 60 different variables? There is not a, there must be some way, no? So Danish he made a facility. He made a facility to declare a single variable, right? But having different accommodation, different data type, right? Which then we call it is a derived data type, an array. So name of variable is only single. Num. Num is the name of a variable, rather name of an array, right? Single. Now let's first do this. How this is done. No, one more slide I will share first. Right. So how to access array elements? First of all, when you declare variables, if you can see this data segment, right hand side of that slide, then this is basically a pictorial representation of data segment. Many books they will show in the exactly upside down, right? Many books follow this, but since this is a pictorial, doesn't matter whether it is upside down or no. I mean, that doesn't matter at all, right? What I mean, at the topmost portion, what we call it as a stack. It's called a stack, and the bottommost portion is called a global or static memory area. Global or static memory. A separate chapter will be here on this diagram. A separate chapter will be there in the future. And so I'm not going to talk too much on this right now. Why actually I told you some part of this. Whenever you declare a variable, you can see here at the top there is a one block, blue block here. So if you declare a variable like int x, so that that is a memory given to that x. There another blue box there. So if you declare a like float y, so that is a memory given to that y. And I told you operating system that memory is given anywhere. Okay, you cannot give memory, right? I mean, you cannot decide that memory location, which memory is to be. Okay? You can just request and it will give you. And there is a strip, one strip is there that is like an array. So in the enlarged part of that is shown in the left hand side of your screen, rather left and middle. So there is an array. If you declare int num5, so this is how the memory is allocated, right? So what is there? Everything is there. There are five elements, right? Five elements, five blocks are there. That is an integer. So there will be first element, second element, third, fourth, and fifth, right? On the left hand side of that contiguous memory, because memory is contiguous as far as array is concerned. Left hand side, I have written that num. So as I told you, num is name of an array. Num is a variable for that whole memory, whole 20 bytes. Yeah, 20 bytes, right? Now there is to each of that element there is at the bottom there is written as num0. Okay, it is pronounced as num0 or num of 0, num of 1, num of 2, num of 3, num of 4, right? So that is what you can say. uh, it is not officially said, unofficially I am telling you that is name of individual array elements. So num of 0 is name of that. I'm talking unofficially, right? Because it doesn't appear, it doesn't appear in any book or technical standard of C language, right? So indexing of an array starts from 0. So first element is having index as 0. This is this practice is followed by all programming languages. Okay. Now why? The reason is that that is the how machine works. Machine works. Right? So first element is never have index as num1. Right? And other index has 1. Okay. First element has got index as 0. So last element will have index as size of an array minus 1. So what is the size of array? 5. So what will be index of last element? 4. Right? Now, since all these array elements are stored continuously next to each other, definitely see the address mechanism. What the address is, I have written at the top 2568, okay, 2572, 2576, 2580, 2584. Okay. So these are addresses of individual elements. We need them. And that's why I have drawn this. Right? What is done in this middle portion, what is done at the bottom, okay, can we use that later on separate chapter we will see that, right? As of now this is sufficient for us for starting the session. Okay, now we will start directly uh, writing a program and simultaneously understanding everything what we have learned uh, in last four slides. What I can say, basic concepts of an array in C, right? We include the file. Write int x float by char ch, right? And if I want to store, suppose uh, cricket score, okay, cricket score of a particular player for a series, okay, series or what you can say, some five matches, okay, not series, because series is having a test match is having again two innings, so it will be a complex. Right? You can do that, no problem. So suppose there is a um, um, three test match series, right? Now I want to store scores, okay? So there will be a like this, so in score. It's something like that, right? Now, what is the benefit over this is that you don't need to declare six different variables if you want to store that cricket score. Okay, one single variable is sufficient. This we call as the declaration of an okay? Declaration of an array. This is the size of an array. It is must. Size of an array must be given. Okay, you cannot keep like this. Right? Now, let's see what is to be done here. I told you that if you recall that slide, last slide, contiguous memory is given, right? So if I try to print the address of an array, I have to print the address of the first element, right? I'll write here in num of I, 0. I'm printing addresses. That's it. I'm not doing anything. Okay. So let's see. We're exploring, right? So what is this 6487580? So that is the address of X. Behind that it is given 76, right? 4 bytes. This minus 4. There lies the address of Y. 1 byte below that. That is a CH, right? Character variable. This is this is not somewhere near. Okay, bit away from that. Okay, The array is stored away from that because it is 6487 536, right? Is it away from that? Yes, it is away from that because uh, 36 plus 20. What is that? 56, right? So let's check. I declare another variable. Suppose int num. What address does it give? Let's check. Okay. The pattern is no. Before array it is giving 32. Okay. So at least you can know come to know that nothing is in our hand as far as memory is given. There will be 24 bytes, right? 24 bytes will be given, and there will be ticket score 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, end of thing, right? And that each of element will be having unique address. Each element of an array will be having unique address. Now let's let's do what? Let's try to store. Okay, we'll store and print, right? We'll store the score and print it, right? So how we can do that? Since it is a contiguous memory, it is a contiguous memory. I will declare one variable as loop counter. And I will write for I is equal to 0, I less than or equal to 5, I plus plus. Right? And then I write inside this printed enter runs made, right? And the same D. And what I will write here? Ampersand cricket score, right? This, and here I will say I, right? Getting this? What I am doing? And then I will write for I equals 0, I less than or equal to 5, I plus plus, enter, uh, same D slash T, get score of. Now, if I run this, okay, see here that I'm going to store score made by runs rather made by a particular player in last 6 innings. So if I run this, so suppose I enter, so six are there. So you can see runs in last 6 innings. It gives you okay 56, 12, 75, 125, 3 and 2. Now what is the benefit is that all these are stored in contiguous memory locations inside memory. Single variable. What is that variable? Cricket score. Cricket score is a single variable, right? So index of this is 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very important, right? That is reason. That is the reason I have started loop at 0. I am using index, index as 0 to start with. Usually, many times we start loop along with 1. But here, since array index is starting from 0, so I am starting from 0. And so there are two ways to write this. I is less than or equal to 5 or less than 6. Both work same, because when you write like this, when you write like this, I is not going to take, I mean I is going to take value 6, but condition is going to be 0, because memory is given only for 6 elements, not beyond that. That's it. Memory is not given. This incrementing I. Now what we are doing here, we are using loop counter for rather you're using I for two purposes. Okay, you are using this variable for two purposes, right? One as a loop counter and second as the array index. So there are here two uses are there. Dual use, you can say, for I, right? I has got a dual use. Okay, one as a loop counter and other is a array index, right? Suppose you don't want to use it, what you'll have to do? You'll have to declare separate variables. I mean, there you have to declare two variables, one for a counter variable, another for the array index. You can do that as well. What will happen in that case? You will declare a variable as int I and j, right? I told you that array can have multiple. Loop can have multiple. Rather, for loop can have multiple initialization. So you can declare. I didn't give you, I think, example at that time, and I told you that time that sometime in the future when an opportunity comes, I will show you. So here is an opportunity. In that case, I will use array index as I and j as a loop counter. Suppose, right? So j is equal to 1. Right? Right? J less than or equal to 6. Right? And check. So here, this works fine as usual. Right? If I run this code, this works fine. Right? There is no problem. But why to do this? No, but sometimes you may need this. But I showed you an example, right? How multiple initialization is done. Now here there is a j variable which is acting as a loop counter, right? J is a loop counter and I is an array index. But note that the loop is controlled. Iteration is controlled by single variable, right? J less than or equal to 6. Right? It is not controlled by index I. It can be controlled by index I. There is no problem. But since we are using J as a loop counter and I as a this thing, what array index, there is no point, right? I wanted to show you this just for the sake of multiple initialization. How it is done, what is the syntax, this, that. Okay, not more than that. Okay, you are not going to do this, but sometimes you may need this, right, in the future. Now, question is whether to write I less than or equal to 5 or I less than 6. Okay, this is better approach. This is better approach. Instead of writing I less than or equal to 6. Right? Now, we will do one thing. I will write one more loop because we need to investigate. No, we need to investigate how array works. I put here. So this. So I will enter marks. So can you see 56 first element? Okay. Sometimes they call it as a zeroth element. So that first element and index 0. Okay. Then second element index 1. Okay. So confusing ourselves. Sometimes first element they don't call first element, zeroth element, second element. But when you say first element, index is index is 1. So problems are there, right? Problems are going to be there. I mean, confusion is going to be there. So leave along with it. Okay. So this is the first element of an array. Okay. This is the address of the first element. Okay. What is that? 552. Okay. Second element of an array. You can see that 5 2. Okay. Rather 6 4 8 7. I will read last three. 5 5 2, 5 5 6, 5 6 0, 5 6 4. 4 bytes. 5 6 8 and 5 7 2. Got. So they are adjacent elements. All elements are and since all array elements are adjacent to each other, we can make a lot of operations on array. You can play along with no array the way you want. The way you want. Right? Now, so what we have seen, we covered everything what we learned. So we have seen that array notation, size of an array, memory, name of an array, right? Accessing array elements. So how do we access that? Using loop, we access those, right? Then this is the data segment, and this much we have seen. So how to assign array? Okay, assign array. Hmm. Array elements are assigned and initialization. How it is assigned and initialized. Hmm. What can give? Int suppose marks. Right? Marks of 5 seconds. If I want to assign array, I have to assign it this way. Marks of 0. Assignment is very tedious job in array, right? It has to be assigned in this way. 0, 1, 2, 3. So these are assignments. Array has to be assigned in this way. Array has to be assigned in this fashion. And suppose rainfall. Okay. Suppose last 7 days. Right? How to initialize? In this way. Right? Only other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So this is our initialization. Right? Has to be initialization. Now, if I want to print this, I may access this. Right? And follow. So let's first compile so that let's see there is no problem. Initialization assignment. Right? So marks, okay, we have assigned those values individually. Right? Input I keyboard input I show. Right? This assignment, because how an array elements are assigned, we must know that, because we are going to need this in the future. And how to initialize? So this is initialization. Right? What is wrong here? 457. Okay, I made a mistake. 457. Oh my god. This is possible, but okay. So this is initial. These are values are initialized in the program. Many times initialization is must. Basically, this array concept is taken by C++ as array. Java, they have got some kind of a no, as far as array of integer or float is concerned, this is the same thing. Um, as far as character array is concerned, they have designed one class, and in Python, there is a kind of a list we call say. They don't say an array, but working is same like array, right? So we need to understand basics so that you can learn any programming language with absolute ease. Absolute ease. Once you understand array concept, then you will be able to understand the string concept. Now, as far as initialization is concerned, then this is not mandatory. So this is valid. This is valid uh, in C as far as because since you are initializing an array, compiler doesn't have problem for while allocating memory because compiler knows that no how many elements are there 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Okay, so compiler gives 28 bytes. Okay, the array size will be how much? 7, right? So compiler doesn't need array size. When this comes into picture, when no you want to initialize but don't know exactly how much you are going to no store, how many elements you are going to store, because uh, if you can observe when I was storing these numbers somewhere here, as soon as I reach here or here I forgot that how many elements I have stored. But if I had written earlier this, I don't need to think like that, right? If I store there 6 elements, then obviously uh, the array size will be 6, right? So this is absolutely okay, okay. And otherwise you have to give like this. But this is not valid like this. Huh? If you give here 5, store these 7 elements, that is not valid. That is not valid. But one thing is sure, whether it initialize, assignment, or take input from the keyboard, you do anything. Index of an array starts from 0. That is one thing is sure. Right? Indexing starts from 0. This is about fundamentals of an array. Now, how suppose I want to print this, okay? But using function. You are calling function inside the loop. So function will be called how many times? 7 times, right? You're sending float, right? So what that? This is basically sending array to the function, not in a true sense, okay? But you are sending each element of an array to the function, okay? What is the need of this that I will see, okay? We will see tomorrow. But what I want to tell you is that since we are in array chapter, all past 6 chapters we will use, and this array will add into that. So in the array we will we will deliberately use all concepts learned so far. So there will be switch case, there will be function, there will be pointers, there will be if else, there will be loops, right? Everything will be there. Now here we are calling function from the inside loop, but here we are sending just what, each element. Okay, so this function is print. So this printf function, this print function will be called from main function 7 times. 7 times it will be called, right? And since we are giving index, we're passing index to that array, right? That's why each individual elements will be passed and will be treated like this. What if you are sending? Now we have seen the first this thing. In the last program before this, we printed address of each element, right? Addresses of each element. So what if I send an address of each element? We need to collect it in a pointer variable, right? So RF is going to be a pointer to each element of an array, and we will write here star RF, right? So if you run this code, it will work. It will function as it is. So these are nothing changes that marks. Okay, this is the rainfall, right? So when first time function is called, the address of this is sent. Address of this element, rainfall of 0. So that address of that element is sent. We are collecting that address in the RF. So RF is going to be a pointer to this element, right? And star of that will give the value 45.8. Okay, then next time function is called, address of this element is being sent. Why I'm telling all these things? Tomorrow lecture will be based on this part. So I'm sending address of 45.7, right? So RF will point to the 45.7 and star of that will print 45.7, right? So you are sending individual address of individual element of an array, right? So any questions? Int star p and p is equal to different. Int star p is declaration of pointer. When you write p is equal to something, that means you are storing an address of some variable into the p, right? Int star p is declaration. You're telling compiler that you want p to be a integer pointer, and when you write p is equal to something, you are storing address of something, some variable, actually in the variable p, right? Here ptr is a pointer, right? X is a integer variable. Ptr is a pointer, not just pointer. Ptr here is an uninitialized pointer, not only a pointer, uninitialized pointer. Moreover, ptr is a integer pointer. So one single statement, ptr is a pointer, right? one more statement. I'll write one more statement. It is a declaration of pointer, right? X is an integer variable and initialized to 0 and initialize also, right? And PTR is a pointer. PTR here is a uninitialized pointer. It is not initialized. So PTR is pointing anywhere. We don't know where it is pointing, right? PTR is an integer pointer, and this is a declaration of pointer. So what you said, while storing address we use star. No, I haven't written like this. Star PTR is equal to ampersand x. No, I haven't written like this. I have written PTR is equal to ampersand x. Right? This is here PTR will start pointing to x. Right? And when I want to access contents of x, here I will use star PTR, not before. I think this is everything about the pointer. Everything about the pointer. See, the whole crux of pointer lies in four statements. This is an integer variable. This is a pointer. You are storing address of x in pointer variable. You are accessing through the star operator. Right? Now there is another, but I have not written that statement yet. Only because I don't want you to get confused. I have not written that statement. If I had written that statement earlier in last two sessions, I should have understood that confusion. Okay, but intentionally I have not written that. I am going to write it. Okay, but intentionally I have not written that. Suppose I write float y is equal to 3.14, right? If I want to create a float pointer, right? If I want to create a float pointer, but I want to initialize that pointer, I will write float fptr, sorry, star, right? Float star. I want to initialize here only, right? I want to initialize here only. I will write ampersand y. But don't forget, this is declaration and initialization of float pointer. In this case, you may feel that you are storing address in a star PTR. No, this is different story than this, right? This is assignment. This is initialization because everything has to be done there in one single statement. So you are declaring a float pointer. At the same time, you are storing address of y in FPTR, right? Is that clear?